heard about Raynaud's disease? Okay, not about Raynaud's pen. This video is about Raynaud's disease. This video is about Raynaud's disease. Okay, it's very difficult to memorize Raynaud's disease. Okay, I'll give you tips to remember Raynaud's disease. The tips are there inside this spellings. Okay, let's see the Raynaud's spelling. The spelling is R-A-Y-N-A-U-D'(S). Okay, so I'll give you tips to remember. There are two A are there. First is first A and the second A. So I'll write arteries. Okay, then I write arterioles. Okay, there is one S is there and one D is there. Okay, D means due to, S is denotes for spasm. Okay, spasm. So, Raynaud's disease is a rare disorder which occurs due to spasm of arteries and arterioles. Okay, which occurs in the upper and lower extremities. I'll give you a pen to pen. You heard about Raynaud's pen? So, I will get remember by getting this name, Raynaud's pen. So, we use fingers to write with the Raynaud's pen. So, this disease primarily occurs in the fingers, okay, toes, cheeks, lips and earlobes. So, Raynaud's disease is a vasospastic disorder which occurs due to spasm of arteries and arterioles, primarily occurs in the fingers, toes, cheeks, lips and earlobes. Next, let us see what is meant by Raynaud's phenomenon. Raynaud's phenomenon refers to the localized intermittent episodes of vasoconstriction of small arteries in the hands and feet that causes color and temperature changes. This Raynaud's phenomenon, when it comes as an episode, we call as Raynaud's phenomenon or event, or when it comes as an episode, we call as Raynaud's phenomenon. As the video shows, it shows that there will be automatic changes in the color and the temperature also will change. Next, we are going to the various types of Raynaud's disease. There are mainly two types of Raynaud's disease. The first one is primary Raynaud's and secondary Raynaud's. Primary Raynaud's, main thing you should keep in mind is there is no primary etiological factors or reasons for primary Raynaud's. Okay, mainly it affects students. So the main causative factor is idiopathic. Whereas secondary Raynaud's, it occurs due to secondary etiological factors in people with connective tissue disorders. Okay, so secondary Raynaud's are there. So the cause is known, and in primary Raynaud's the cause is unknown. So that is there are main two types of Raynaud's disease: primary Raynaud's and secondary Raynaud's. Okay. Next is what are the etiology of primary Raynaud's. So the first name already said, in primary Raynaud's it is idiopathic. The cause is unknown. And the second reason is exposure to cold climate. Particularly if you live in cold countries, normally the disease is mainly seen in people in cold countries or cold temperatures. Okay, so exposure to cold may increase or improve the condition. Okay. Next one is stress or tensions. This is commonly the main etiological factor behind this is stress or tensions. When you get stressed, okay, it may cause vasoconstriction or vasospasm of the arteries and may cause Raynaud's disease or primary Raynaud's. Next is spasm of blood vessel. I already said, okay, even small micro spasms can cause primary Raynaud's disease. That are the main causes or etiological factors behind primary Raynaud's. Next we go to secondary Raynaud's disease. Secondary Raynaud's disease occurs in people with connective tissue disorders. Okay, the various connective tissue disorders such as scleroderma, lupus, lupus disease, rheumatoid arthritis, Sjögren syndrome and carpal tunnel syndrome. These are the main secondary etiological factors of Raynaud's disease. We will see one each. Okay, first term is scleroderma. Okay, scleroderma. Sclero means hardening, derma means skin. Okay, so this is a disease condition. This is a connective tissue disorder in which the hardening of the skin. So this is because this is a connective tissue disorder in that the skin become very hardened. That is called as scleroderma. And next one is a lupus disease, or otherwise called as systemic lupus erythematosus. Systemic lupus erythematosus is a autoimmune disease that our own immunity will destroy our own organs or tissues. Okay, it commonly affects kidneys. Our name is that systemic lupus erythematosus. System means various systems such as kidney, lungs, liver, or heart. This main organs may affect systemic lupus erythematosus. Okay, and there is main signs and symptoms will be rashes. Okay, skin rashes, right? Rashes will be there in the body. That is why it is named as systemic lupus erythematosus, or otherwise called as lupus disease. Lupus disease, okay, that our own immunity will destroy our own tissues. That is called as systemic lupus erythematosus. Next is rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, mainly caused by group A beta hemolytic streptococcus, that is rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, that is an inflammatory disease in the rheumatoid region or is in the joints. That is called as rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, so it is caused by group A beta hemolytic streptococcus. Okay, so there is a rheumatoid arthritis. There is a next connective disorder is Sjögren's syndrome. Sjögren's syndrome is, okay, mainly I focus on the word S. Okay, S is salivary gland or gland. Okay, Sjögren's syndrome is a syndrome which occurs on the exocrine glands. Okay, mainly, okay, goes in the salivary glands or in the glands in the eyes. Okay, so the main signs and symptoms of Sjögren's syndrome will be dry eyes and dry mouth. So that is the main clinical manifestation. That is a connective tissue disorder, or otherwise called as Sjögren's syndrome. Sjögren's syndrome. It affects an autoimmune disorder which affects the salivary gland or exocrine glands. Okay, mainly clinical signs and symptoms will be dry eyes and dry mouth. That is called as Sjögren's syndrome. Next is carpal tunnel syndrome. Okay, the name is very interesting. Carpal tunnel syndrome is caused due to compression of our medial nerves. Okay, that causes carpal tunnel syndrome, so that you cannot able to move. It mainly occurs in people with typewriting business. Okay, typewriting, or you are making, okay, you are working in like machineries. Okay, so that in that people this disease occurs. Carpal tunnel disorder. It goes due to compression of medial nerve. That is called as carpal tunnel disorder. So these are the secondary reasons or secondary etiological factors for Raynaud's disease. First one is scleroderma, already said. It is a hardening of the skin. Next is systemic lupus erythematosus or lupus disease. Okay, and third one is rheumatoid arthritis or joint arthritis, inflammation in the synovial joints. Okay, that is called as rheumatoid arthritis. And Sjögren's syndrome. Okay, autoimmune disorder which affects the salivary gland or exocrine glands in the body. So that is called as Sjögren's syndrome. And last one is carpal tunnel syndrome. Okay, these are the secondary factors or etiological factors of Raynaud's disease. Next, we are going to the side. What are the risk factors? Okay, the various risk factors. The first risk factor is gender. Mainly occurs in female rather than males. Commonly occurs. Various research says that it mainly occurs in most affected in females rather than males. That is the gender criteria. The second risk factors or it will raise in the age group of 40s or 30s or 40s, because there are full resolution of the symptoms in their 30s and 40s. That is the reason for age. Okay, so full resolution in the symptoms in the 30s and age. So age is the second risk factor. The third risk factor is family history. Those who have family history of Raynaud's disease, that also may happen to the people. So family history is the other main risk factor. Next one is cold climatic condition. Those who live in cold climatic condition can have those who are exposed to cold climates have this disease. Cold climatic conditions. Next is smoking. Smoking is one of the main risk factors of Raynaud's disease. Okay, or Sjögren's syndrome also is there. Because smoking is one of the main risk factors. Smoking can cause, okay, narrowing or vasospasm of the arteries and it may cause Raynaud's disease. That is a smoking. Okay. Next one is injury to hand and leg. Okay, injury to hand and leg means, okay, if I have any previous injuries that may also occur, that may also cause Raynaud's disease. Next is repetitive actions. When you are a person who are working the same actions every time, repetitive actions can also lead to Raynaud's disease. Repetitive actions. And Next risk factor is certain jobs such as typing. I wrote typing. Okay, those who work in machineries or you have repetitive vibrating movements of the hand. Those who work in machinery, they always vibrate their hands. So in that condition also, okay, that people also have, okay, they are risk factors of this Raynaud's disease. So certain jobs such as typing. Okay, so I've just mentioned only one job here. So those who have working in machineries or working continuously, in machineries which is vibrating, those who are risk factors for Raynaud's disease. So these are the main risk factors of Raynaud's disease. Next, we are going to the slide. What are the main pathophysiology behind this? How does disease occur? It's a very simple pathophysiology saying that. See, already we discussed about primary risk factors and secondary risk factors. Primary risk factors such as cold climatic conditions, idiopathic in nature, okay, like certain skills, like certain jobs. Okay, secondary etiological factors such as connective tissue disorder. It may lead to vasospasm of arteries and arterioles. Okay, our arteries and arterioles become spasmed or narrowed. Okay, because of that, okay, it may cause reduced blood flow to the affected areas. So there will be reduced blood flow to the affected areas, and it may cause signs and symptoms such as numbness and tingling sensation. Well, this is a very small pathophysiology, and this is the pathophysiology of the disease. It may first main thing is because of the reduced blood flow to the affected areas. Okay. Next, we are going to the main clinical manifestations of the disease. The first main clinical manifestation is the blanching of extremities. Blanching of extremities means that blanching means making pale or white. Okay, so blanching of extremities, you can see that, okay, in Raynaud's phenomenon, automatically it becomes pale, white and pale. Okay, that is called as blanching of extremities. Okay, affected. It can occur in the hands or it can occur in the legs, or it can mainly occur in the fingers, toes, lips, earlobes. Okay, these are the main areas of Raynaud's disease. So blanching of extremities. Next is extremities may turn pale, white and blue. Okay, first may turn in the first scenarios it may occur white and pale, and later when the condition got vulgar, okay, worsen, it may change into blue. Okay, so that is it become blue, means next clinical signs and symptom is cyanosis, become bluish color, we call as cyanosis because of less blood supply to the area, that is called as cyanosis. And in some cases, the patient may say that patient may feel they have an intense amount of pain. So pain is the other clinical manifestation of the patient with Bardet syndrome. Okay. Last one, numbness, tingling sensations, and swelling in the extremities are the other main clinical manifestations. Numbness, tingling sensation, swelling, and in the extremities. And these are the main clinical manifestations. Once again, blanching of extremities. Okay, extremities may turn pale, white and blue, and cyanosis because of less oxygen supply, and pain, numbness, tingling sensation, and swelling in the extremities are the main clinical manifestations. Okay. Next, we are going to see about various diagnostic studies. There are various diagnostic studies used for Raynaud's disease. Okay, the first one is blood studies. Okay, for primary Raynaud's disease, it won't give much information from blood studies such as RBC, CRP, etc. It is mainly used to find out to rule out what are any secondary causes related to Raynaud's disease. So RBC, CRP or C-reactive protein and erythrocyte sedimentation rates are the main blood studies used for Raynaud's disease. Next one is cold simulation test. Cold simulation test is used, okay, or done mainly in vascular labs. The patient is taken to a vascular lab and the patients, okay, where for example the patient have lower extremities problem, okay, first they will check, okay, the patient's pulse rate, patient's pressure, patient's temperature of the lower extremities. Then the patient is told to put legs in the cold water, and again they will check after it will take up to 3 minutes, and after that they will check again the pulse, temperature and pressure in the lower extremity, and thereby we can understand, if any changes or any simulation with the cold we can understand. So that is called as cold simulation test. Okay, I will give you a link on this under the video so that you can able to see what is meant by cold simulation test. Next is nail fold capilloscopy. Nail fold capilloscopy is an imaging studies. It is a non-invasive method and it is same like nail fold capilloscopy. It is a scopy to visualize whether what are the microvascular structures through nail fold. Okay, and this test is mainly used to differentiate between primary and secondary Raynaud's disease. So nail fold capilloscopy is right now it is used for to find out for Raynaud's disease. Okay, so it is used majority in all areas to find out Raynaud's disease. So nail fold capilloscopy is one of the best or studies which you can use for Raynaud's disease. Okay, through nail fold they are checking about microvascular structures through the nail fold. They will check all the nail folds if needed. Okay, that is called as nail fold capilloscopy. Next one is anti-nuclear antibody test or ANA test. Anti-nuclear antibody test is to rule out any secondary factors for or secondary Raynaud's disease or to find out any autoimmune disorders that causes secondary Raynaud's disease. To find out that, we always step for ANA testing, that is anti-nuclear antibody testing. Okay, so these are the main diagnostic studies used for Raynaud's disease. First one is blood studies as RBCs, CRPs and ESR, and cold stimulation test, nail fold capilloscopy and anti-nuclear antibody test. Okay, these are the main diagnostic studies. Next is what are the complications of Raynaud's studies. The first main complication of the Raynaud's studies, because of less blood supply to the extremities, there are chance to develop ulcers. Okay, so ulcers are the first main complication, okay, for Raynaud's disease. And second one is it may develop into digital pits. We can see pit means a small hole like a thing. So a small pit or depression we can see in the fingers or in the extremity. That is called as digital pits. Okay, so that is the second complication. And the third one, in advanced stages and all in Raynaud's disease, gangrene is one of the main complication of Raynaud's disease. It may cause gangrenes to the fingers or to the extremities or toes. Okay, it may cause gangrene. So these are the main complications of Raynaud's disease. Next we will go to the medical management. What are the main medication we use for recovery? First main medication we use for calcium channel blockers. Calcium channel blockers is used to dilate blood vessels. So that is the main reason we use for calcium channel blockers. Calcium channel blocker is a anti-hypertensive medication which is to dilate blood vessels there, and here they will use to dilate blood vessels. So the classic example for calcium channel blockers is nifedipine or amlodipine. So calcium channel blockers. Next is phosphodiesterase inhibitors. For phosphodiesterase inhibitors, also it will improve the blood flow to the region. So we use phosphodiesterase inhibitors such as Viagra. So that is also used for as a medical management for Raynaud's disease. The third one is we use vasodilators. Same thing, like to dilate the blood vessels, we use vasodilators. Example is losartans. Okay, and if the patient is having any associated conditions such as cholesterol, or because of cholesterol there will be hardening of the or in the arteries. So doctors may prescribe statin tablets. Examples such as atorvastatin. So statin also the doctor used to give in patients with Raynaud's disease. For some patients, it may cause blood to reduce. Okay, so in that conditions, okay, blood pressure is going very down. In that condition, okay, with the help of other doctors, okay, in some doctors we used to give Bontox injections. Bontox injection also used for patients with low blood sugar. Blood pressure. So in that condition we use Bontox injection in case of medical management. Okay, there are one more medication they use. They use SSRIs or selective serotonin uptake inhibitors. Selective serotonin uptake inhibitors or SSRIs are used in some cases. There are some doctors are using SSRIs to reduce or to dilate blood vessels are there. So in case of patients with high blood pressure or low blood pressure, they use patients SSRIs also are commonly used in case of Raynaud's disease. So SSRIs also is there. Next we will go to the surgical treatment. In an advanced stage one, they will go for sympathectomy. Sympathectomy is resection of the sympathetic nerves. Okay, in that case we use sympathectomy, and if the patient has got gangrene and all, so in case of gangrene the doctor may choose or suggest amputation. So these are the main surgical treatment used for Raynaud's disease. Next is what are the non-pharmacological management. Okay, in first the main we can use is non-pharmacological management. In advanced stages only the doctor will give you medications. In that non-pharmacological management is the best in case of Raynaud's disease. Okay, so the first non-pharmacological management is the doctor will suggest you to do exercise regularly. So exercise is one of the best non-pharmacological management. Exercise. Then we need to give for lifestyle modifications. For example, you need to do exercise daily. You have a small exercise routine works. You need to have a low-fat diet. So you need to have a lifestyle modification, and you need to quit smoking. So these are some life modifications you need to make for Raynaud's disease. So lifestyle modifications. Next is relaxation techniques. Okay, you may suggest any relaxation techniques according to your choice. Such as you can do meditations, you can do music therapy, or you can use any other relaxation techniques to reduce your stress and anxiety. So relaxation techniques are also used for as a non-pharmacological management for Raynaud's disease. Next is dietary management. Avoid caffeine, avoid fat foods. So these are the caffeine related carbonated beverages such as Coca-Cola. So we can avoid things for patients with Raynaud's disease. So dietary management also very needed in case of non-pharmacological management. So diet also plays a very important role in Raynaud's disease. So these are the main points under non-pharmacological management. Next is emergency management. Emergency management is, for example, suddenly the patient got Raynaud's phenomenon, or the patient having Raynaud's phenomenon. What we need to do in that condition? What are the steps we need to keep in mind? Okay, so there are some certain points we need to keep in mind for us an emergency management. So the first main thing is keeping hands under running warm water. Okay, running warm water. Suddenly the patient got any Raynaud's disease. Okay, suddenly we can put the hand into warm water. Okay. Make sure that because the sensation is because of numbness, the patient won't feel any heat there. So please make sure that the water is warm to touch. So that point always keep in mind. The patient those who have Raynaud's disease, always advise them. Okay, don't touch the hot water. Okay, the patient if your running water is very hot, don't do this. Okay. Only water which is warm in nature, only we can touch. That kind of water, please use as under the. Please keep the hand in under the running water. That's the first emergency management. Otherwise, to increase the circulation, we can use windmilling the hand. We can windmill. We can rotate the hands. Okay, we can rotate the affected hands. Okay, fast, so that it will improve the blood circulation suddenly. So windmilling in the hand is another emergency management. Next is keeping the warm body cavities such as groin, such as armpits and mouth. So that is also an emergency techniques to avoid Raynaud's phenomenon. So keep the hands in warm body cavities. Tell the patient to keep in their own cavities. Okay, warm cavities such as armpit, groin or mouth. These are the main warm areas, so that it will reduce or it will vasodilate the arteries, and it may cause. Okay, it will increase the blood supply, so that it can be suddenly reduced. So Raynaud's phenomenon can be suddenly reduced. So these are the main emergency management techniques, such as keeping the hands under running warm water, windmilling the hand, and keeping the hands in warm body cavities such as armpits, mouth and groin. So these are the emergency management. Next we will go to the nursing management. Nursing management, these are the common nursing management. I would like to say here, what are the main common nursing management used for patients with Raynaud's disease? First is the nurses ask to monitor pulses. For example, when you got a patient, you need to monitor pulses to the affected area. Monitor pulses. Okay. Second one, administer medication as prescribed. And what are the prescribed medication the doctor has prescribed? You need to administer. Health educate the client. Always health educate your client regarding what are the education you should give. For example, quit smoking, advices you need to give. Always health education right, and a health educator right regarding this disease. What is the main causative factor of disease? What is the primary, secondary, that kind of education you need to give to the patient. Next is assist the client to identify and avoiding the precipitating factors such as cold and stress. Tell the patient and assist the patient to find out what is the main causative factor regarding their Raynaud's phenomenon. So first tell the patient to find out that. Okay. Then only you can avoid it. So avoid the precipitating factor so that the phenomenon won't occur. So assess the client, identify and avoid precipitating factors, and advise the client to avoid injuries to the fingers and hand. Tell the patient to avoid injuries to the fingers and hand. That is also very important. Okay. Next is instruct the client to wear warm clothing outside. Always when they go outside. For example, the patient is living in cold climatic condition. Always tell the patient to wear mittens and to go out. Always wear a warm clothing so that the extremities and extremity will become very warm. So always tell the patient to wear the warm clothing. Okay. If it is in a cold climate, or it will worsen the situation. It will exacerbate the condition. So always instruct the client to wear warm clothing. That is a very important point the nurses should remember and educate the clients. Next is, what are the main nursing diagnoses? The main nursing diagnosis behind Raynaud's phenomenon are: first one is if the patient is having pain, of course, obviously acute pain related to tissue ischemia, secondary to vasospasm. So that is the first nursing diagnosis. Acute pain related to tissue ischemia, secondary to vasospasm. The second one is ineffective. We can always write ineffective peripheral tissue perfusion related to lack of blood supply to the extremities. Ineffective peripheral tissue perfusion related to lack of blood supply to the extremities. That is because there is peripheral blood supply is very ineffective. So that is why you can write ineffective peripheral tissue perfusion related to lack of blood supply to the extremities. And the third one, stress or anxiety related to disease process. Okay, because stress is one of the factors here. You can write stress or anxiety related to disease process. And of course, mainly people doesn't know about Raynaud's phenomenon. Once it gets, the patient always search in Google, okay, to find out what kind of disease is this. So if you know that this is, always the patient have the deficient knowledge regarding this. Okay, so what is the treatment regime and all. So deficient knowledge regarding self-care activities. So that also tell the patient to deficient knowledge regarding self-care activities. Here we can write this nursing diagnosis. So once again, what are the main nursing diagnoses are? Acute pain related to tissue ischemia, secondary to vasospasm, ineffective peripheral tissue perfusion related to lack of blood supply to the extremities, stress or anxiety related to disease process, and deficient knowledge regarding self-care activities. These are the main nursing diagnoses related to Raynaud's disease. Okay, so today we have seen Raynaud's disease. What is the definition? What is meant by Raynaud's disease? What is meant by Raynaud's phenomenon? Okay, what are the main types? What are the factors? What are the etiological factors of primary Raynaud's disease and secondary Raynaud's disease? What are risk factors? What is meant by pathophysiology? Okay, what are the main clinical manifestation, and what are the main nursing diagnostic studies? Okay, what are the main medicines used for Raynaud's disease? And we are seeing what are the non-pharmacological management, what are the emergency management, and what are the main nursing diagnosis, nursing intervention and nursing diagnosis. I hope you understand this disease condition. So I think if you like this topic, please comment in our comment box. Okay, thank you, and thank you everyone.